Every human being, no matter how calm or composed they appear on the surface, is fighting a private battle within their own mind. A battle against thoughts that repeat, distort, accuse, and exhaust. You can stand in a crowded place surrounded by noise and still feel trapped inside your own head. You can smile, work, function, and still feel overwhelmed by the constant pressure of your thoughts. This is not weakness. This is the human condition. The mind, when left unchecked, does not rest. It wanders, it replays the past, it imagines futures that never arrive, and slowly it begins to poison the present. And here is the truth most people never learn. If you want to master your life, you must first master your mind. Because every emotion you feel, every decision you make, every reaction you regret, begins as a thought. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that freedom does not come from controlling the world, but from understanding the inner world. From clearing the toxic patterns that cloud judgment, drain focus, and distort reality. This is not about suppressing your thoughts or forcing positivity. It is about seeing clearly, learning how to step back, observe, and reclaim control over the space where thoughts arise. In this guide, we are not chasing motivation or comfort. We are learning discipline, awareness, and inner strength. A Stoic way of thinking that teaches you how to stand steady even when your mind tries to pull you apart. What follows is not theory, is practice. And if you apply it patiently, it will change the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you live. The first step to mastering your mind and breaking free from toxic thoughts is awareness, because nothing can be changed until it is clearly seen. Most people suffer not because of what happens to them, but because they believe every thought that appears in their mind. A thought rises and they instantly accept it as truth. I am not good enough. This will never work. Something is wrong with me. But a thought is not a fact. It is an event in the mind, nothing more. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology named it. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. The moment you recognize this, a small distance appears between you and the noise. That distance is power. When a toxic thought arises, do not fight it and do not follow it. Simply observe it. Name it. This is fear. This is doubt. This is memory. This is imagination. Like a cloud passing through the sky, it appears, changes shape, and fades if you do not cling to it. The mind becomes dangerous only when you identify with every story it tells. Awareness breaks that identification. It turns reaction into observation. Instead of being dragged by every mental impulse, you begin to watch the pattern calmly. And once you can watch, you are no longer trapped. This practice may feel subtle, but it is the foundation of inner freedom. Each time you notice a thought without obeying it, you weaken its grip. Over time, the mind grows quieter, not because thoughts stop appearing, but because they stop controlling you. This is where clarity begins, not by silencing the mind, but by no longer being owned by it. Once you become aware of your thoughts, the next step is learning how to release them instead of carrying them everywhere you go. A toxic mind is often not loud because of the present moment, but heavy because it is full of the past and anxious about the future. Regret, resentment, guilt, fear, these are not happening now, yet they live in the mind as if they are permanent residents. The Stoics warned against this kind of suffering. Seneca said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and this is exactly how toxic thoughts survive. They replay old wounds, rehearse future disasters, and drain today of its strength. Mental release begins when you stop reopening doors that no longer need to be entered. You do not heal by reliving the same pain again and again. You heal by letting it pass without gripping it. This does not mean denial. It means acceptance without attachment. When a painful memory appears, acknowledge it without feeding it. When worry about the future arises, remind yourself that you are borrowing pain from a moment that has not arrived. Stillness, reflection, and deliberate breathing help create this release. Even a few minutes of silence each day allows the mind to empty what it has been holding too tightly. Forgiveness is also part of release, not because others deserve it, but because your mind deserves peace. Holding resentment poisons the one who holds it. The Stoic mind learns to let go, not because it forgets, but because it understands that carrying poison never brings strength. When you practice release daily, the mind becomes lighter, clearer, and less reactive. Focus returns naturally, not through force, but through freedom. As the mind grows quieter, you will begin to notice a familiar presence, the inner critic. This voice speaks with confidence, but it is rarely kind. It reminds you of past failures, exaggerates your flaws, and predicts defeat before you even begin. Many people mistake this voice for truth, but it is not wisdom. It is fear wearing the mask of authority. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that judgment, not events, is what disturbs a mind. The inner critic is simply a habit of judgment turned inward. It was shaped by comparison, expectation, and moments when you learn to doubt yourself. But habits can be challenged. Each time this voice appears, you have a choice. You can obey it, or you can examine it. Ask whether what it says is useful, fair, or grounded in reality. Most of the time, it is none of these. It speaks in absolutes, always, never, you cannot, you will fail. These are signs of distortion, not truth. Seneca reminded us that adversity is not proof of weakness, but an opportunity to test character. When the inner critic speaks, respond with reason, not emotion. Replace harsh judgment with honest assessment. You may not be perfect, but you are capable of growth. You may have failed before, but failure is evidence of effort, not proof of inadequacy. Each time you interrupt this voice, you weaken its grip. Over time, its volume fades, not because it disappears, but because you no longer treat it as the ruler of your decisions. Mastery of the mind is not about silencing every thought. It is about choosing which ones deserve your attention. When the inner critic loses authority, focus strengthens, confidence steadies, and action becomes clear. When stillness becomes part of you, focus stops being something you chase. It becomes something you protect. At this stage, the real work begins, guarding your mind from what poisons it slowly. Not every thought deserves entry. Not every emotion deserves attention. The Stoics were ruthless about this. They believe your mind is your most valuable possession, and anything that disturbs it unnecessarily is an enemy. Marcus Aurelius warned himself daily to expect distraction, negativity, and foolishness from others, not to become bitter, but to remain prepared. Preparation is power. You stop being surprised by toxic thoughts when you expect them. When a negative idea arises, you no longer panic or spiral. You recognize it, question it, and decide whether it serves your values. If it does not, you let it pass. This is how focus is preserved. Focus is not force. It is exclusion. It is choosing what to ignore. The modern world constantly competes for your attention, but Stoicism teaches restraint. You do not need to react to everything. You do not need to think about everything. You do not need to carry every worry. Each unnecessary thought drains energy that could be used to build something meaningful. By narrowing your attention to what is within your control, your actions become sharper, your emotions calmer, and your sense of direction stronger. Toxic thoughts fade when they are starved of importance. What remains is clarity, and clarity leads to freedom. This is the final shift. You stop trying to clear your mind completely. You learn to govern it. You accept that thoughts will come, but you choose which ones shape your life. In doing so, you reclaim authority over yourself. That is the Stoic goal. Not constant happiness, but inner stability. Not escape from struggle, but mastery within it. When your mind is no longer at war with itself, focus becomes natural, peace becomes durable, and life feels lighter without becoming shallow. This is Stoic happiness. Not excitement, not constant pleasure, but grounded state of self-trust. You know you can handle what comes because you have learned to handle your own mind. And once you master that, you stop fearing life. You stop running from difficulty. You stop being dragged by thought. You stand firm, clear, and focused. This is not the end of the work. It is the beginning of living with clarity every day.